Hello, my name is Steffen and welcome to my ePortfolio. This portfolio was created during the online seminar The Scandinavian Model at the International Business Academy, short EBA. First, I would like to give a small overview. I chose the topics which I've liked the most and from which I have gained the most learnings. So the topics were Introduction to Danish Culture, Culture Studies, Work Motivation, and at the end, Innovation Management. I always started each topic with a short summary, concentrate on the main facts, and then move on to the learnings and reflections. At the beginning, we got to know the origin of the Danish culture. It can be found in the Viking Age. Because of the Danish origin from the time of the Vikings, some basic cultural values have been established in characterizing the Danish culture today. For example, equality, fairness, self-sufficiency, high aspiration of democracy. In the past Viking Age, they created a great feeling that they only can help themselves best. So now they have not a great trust in other persons from the outside. These characteristics can be found in the Danish work culture as well, as we have learned. Now let's come to the learnings and reflections. Honestly, I haven't done much research into Danish culture and work culture before. During the course, I learned a lot about why Danes are the way they are. If I compare the difference between Denmark and Germany, I can say that we differ significantly in some points. On some issues, we can still learn something from the Danish culture. For example, I think that Germans do not always focus on being happy in their jobs, but rather on money, job titles, and benefits, for example. Danes actively involve their employees in the decision-making process and encourage them to express their opinions freely. In Germany, this image is rarely found in companies, in my opinion. In my company, there's a clear hierarchy and a top-down mentality when it comes to decision-making. In my opinion, it should be a good mix between control and free decision of the employees. Because if you only control the employees and always want to participate in all decisions, it can have a bad impact on the motivation. For myself, this module has inspired me to critically question myself more often if I'm really happy in what I do, because I think Danes do that very often, for sure. I think being happy is often misunderstood on the one hand. It can be a disadvantage if people do not know exactly when they are happy or not. So being happy does not mean that you always come to work with a smile, but rather that you are honored in what you do. Next, we have culture studies. In this module, we got to know culture theories. For example, Edward T. Hall, who tries to put culture into their kind of context. On the one hand, there is high context, where people, time, and place is more important as a low context. Usually, very descriptive messages are used. Body language is very important, as well as strong relationships. On the other hand, there's low context, where messages are very directly, there's less body language, so that means that privacy is very important. The next study is Klackern and Strodbeck, showing that problems can appear when different cultures come together. For example, the reservation of the Germans can be misunderstood if another culture approaches people rather openly. The last study is from Urdi, where habitus is defined by preferences, behavior, and perception patterns. This is shaped by the social space, which is made up of income, education, profession, and a place of residence. According to Bourdieu, social inequality do not depend only on economic capital, but also on social, cultural, and symbolic capital. So now let's come to learnings and reflections. When I reflect on what I've learned with my previous experience, I can say that I can see some matches. In my job, for example, I can see that there are differences between the cultures. So people from India are very interested in an intensive relationship, and Germans are rather distant. In my opinion, the theories are very interesting, but not all theories can always be fully considered in daily professional life because there are so many other topics to handle. However, I think I will take the following from the module. I would like to understand and consider the wishes and needs of people from other culture more often. I think that it will also have an impact on my future behavior at work. When I think critically about the studies of Pierre Bourdieu, I think that Bourdieu's habitus has a great influence on a person's individual development. Because, for example, you often hear that people with higher education and a good environment get a better job. So what I would like to pay attention to is to giving my child a good habitus for the future to save them a good start in their lives. The next module is work motivation. We have learned that the motivation of Danish employees differs from other countries. Two factors are responsible for this. On the one hand, Danes pay taxes with which they are financially supported when they lose their jobs, just like in Germany. On the other hand, the hierarchy is not given much importance. That means that the focus that leads to motivation on the job is different. For example, Danes like to be involved in decision making. They want a work-life balance, means a lot of time for family and friends. They do not like to sit in the company until late at night. And lifelong learning is very important. Great interest in continuous learning and further education. So Danes prefer to work together rather than each for himself. This means a high sense of team spirit. Compared to Denmark, Germany has a strong focus on hierarchy within companies. It is more important what job title do you have. Managers here in Germany are often decision makers and are not interested in the opinions of their employees, which I think that's very bad because then you don't get the full potential out of the employees, and maybe you will miss out a very good idea from the employees. Pay bonuses and other benefits are often the benchmark for a high job motivation in Germany. In addition, Germany does not pay much attention to the topic of further training on the job, which I think it's another major disadvantage because only well-trained people can do a good job. So as a critical note, many old companies still have outdated views on the job motivation, but there are more and more, mostly startups, with many younger people they break this way of thinking and break new grounds. As Alexander Kierulf said, many countries, including Germany, have a different perception of job motivation. As a learning, I take with me that I should generally not be about the highest pay, the best job title or other advantages, but more how the Danes do it, being happy with what you do. That's what job motivation is all about. However, I believe that it is difficult and a disadvantage to convince people of this way of thinking because money pays the bills. I think that both have to work together and a balance has to be struck between the 2 points of view. The last module I want to talk about is innovation management. Innovation describes the process of turning opportunities into ideas. Companies can focus on either product, price, position, or paradigm. This works in inventing a completely new idea or in improving an existing product. Denmark is apparently better or faster or have a higher quality of products. The key is to understand the market, be close to the customer demand, understand the unique qualities of your own company. Let's come to the last learnings and reflection. Although Germany has a high performance score in innovation management, Denmark is stronger regarding innovation. The key to success is the ability to understand the market and with it, the needs of the customers, for sure. In my opinion, these points are the most important ones because one should always orientate oneself as best as possible towards the customer. The customer should buy from the company, so a company should always be oriented to the needs of the customer. Furthermore, it is important to understand the unique qualities of the company because you should always be aware of what you are extremely good at and what the focus should be in your company. In my opinion, the last point, design and delivery value, is the least important point, but it should not be neglected. I totally agree that with many products, a story and emotion should be sold. Critically, however, it will not be 100% possible with every product when I think of toilet paper, for example. If I now put what I've learned in connection with innovation management, then the following points are the reason for the good innovation management in Denmark. First, there's a high focus on lifelong learning. This means that employees learn something new again and again. In combination with no study costs, a high degree of innovation in Denmark is ensured. This leads to very well-trained employees, for example. In my opinion, this is a great advantage because many people are given the opportunity for education, for good education. Critically seen, the only question is how all this is paid for. Unfortunately, I have not found anything else to answer this question. So the last point is that employees have a high degree of say. This is very positive because you have several opinions and you can discuss them and then summarize them to a common result. We are now at the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Goodbye.